Hi, this is May.
And I'm Joy.
Welcome to the QWERTY Writing Life podcast, where we have candid chats about our creative lives.
May and I are friends, writers, and creatives who want to share our endeavors out loud.
On this podcast, we're here to encourage each other, and you too,
and share tools we've discovered or made up.
So you can follow your passions with a little support. So grab your tea
or your coffee,
and let's get started. Hello, everyone. It's another week.
Hello and welcome.
We are so excited to be here with you as usual. And today we're going to talk about a marriage of mediums. So in episode 44, we talked about finding your creative medium. And now we're going to talk about mashing some stuff together. But first, let's talk about our creative weeks. Joy, what do you got?
So for the past couple of weeks, I've been editing for a client, and it's been a lot of fun. I enjoy doing this. This book is a memoir, and it's always fun we're in the developmental stage of the editing, so it's fun to take their story and look for ways to smooth it out, look for ways to kind of fill in any gaps, and look for those things that might make a reader stop, and make sure that we don't have those stops, because we don't want stops as authors, do we? So it's just been a lot of fun thinking through all of that and being creative in the delivery of those edits to my client. So what about you?
Oh, wow. I have to catch you guys up on a few things because it's been a few weeks since I've been able to talk about, well, first of all, MPA. I promised you guys an update on MPA. So I went to the Mississippi Philological Association and I presented 2 poems on postpartum depression. And that was a really cool thing to do, just to be able to have that platform where there's quite a few people who are there to listen to not only me, but other people, other poets on the panel. But for me to be able to share something that's so close to my heart and something that I'm really interested in sharing with other people and kind of getting the word out on. So that was good. And also those poems are going to be able to be in the Mississippi Philological Association journal. So that will be a full-fledged journal that's going to be on EBSCOhost and all other kinds of places. So hopefully other people will be able to read about the journey that I've been through as well. I also got to sit on panels of other kind of fiction work, so a lot of short stories and things like that. I got to see what kind of trends are going on the collegiate level as far as how to write short stories, what kind of topics are being explored, and what kind of writers are out there. So these are a lot of students who are on their master's level, doctorate's level, and who are sharing with all of the people there. And these pieces have been picked by a panel of judges, and then they were able to be put into this conference. So it's an honor, and it's also a super cool research gig too. There were also academic papers, and I did sit in on a few of those panels as well, and lots of interesting, very smart people in the world, I gotta say.
That is so cool. I'm excited for you.
So that is MPA update. Update number 2 is I got a tattoo. Bam! See, if you're on YouTube,
cute.
You can see. Actually, it goes like this because it goes with the triangles pointing up, because I got a sibling tattoo, and my brother and my sister and I went to a tattoo parlor. We've been planning this for about 3 years, and we were finally in the same place at the same time. So my brother lives in Georgia, my sister lives in Alabama, and I live in Mississippi. And we were able to finally do this thing that we were planning. And for people who are in the audio world, it is 3 triangles, and they're all pushed together, and or they're all touching each other. They're not like overlapping or anything. And mine is filled in. The middle one is filled in because I am the middle child. I have an older brother and a younger sister. And then their triangle is filled in respectively. So that was kind of cool. My very first tattoo stung a little bit, but I really like it. I feel pretty boss about it all. And and I probably will have another 1 or 10 in my future.
Yep. It gets addictive.
Yes. So in the writing world, I am finalizing that travel journal. I actually am ready to pay an invoice and I am uploading things to publishing company sites, and that's really exciting, and that's for my full-time job. And then I did something else that's pretty brave, and I'll tell you guys about it a little bit later as things become a little more tangible instead of like research phase, because I don't want to tell you something that's not going to be true as things come into play. So tell you guys about that, but I did it and it was brave and I'm pretty excited about it.
Well, I
Um
want to hear about it.
well, you know about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's swell. Um so I did that. Oh, what else did I do? I accidentally came up with a book premise while I was doing some research for some other things, and I also began a new lecture script involving writing through grief. Big week.
That's a lot, girl. You've been busy. Well, that actually kind of leads right into our topic because you're kind of
How
doing.
do we do that every
I
week?
don't know. I swear we don't plan the transition part, but it just works out sometimes, which is wonderful.
Yeah,
So,
I guess
our
it's just
top.
on our mind.
Yeah, I guess so, really. I guess it's whatever we've been kind of thinking through, and it just kind of flows. So, there you
It
go.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So, a marriage of mediums is our topic. And this idea kind of came to me. Now, this is May's going to talk most of the time tonight because she has already and is already doing this so beautifully. And I can't wait for you guys to hear about that. But the idea for this topic came to me when I saw the gorgeous, amazing artwork for the Mississippi Book Festival for this year. Which go ahead and mark your calendars. It is August 15th in Jackson, Mississippi. And the artist for this year's work, his name is Charlie Buckley. And he did this oil painting, which is titled Mississippi Writers Stack. And we're going to put the links for you guys to check it out in the show notes. But Charlie is a Tupelo native, and he was inspired by the tornado destruction in his hometown for this artwork. And it's houses for of a bunch of Mississippi authors, famous Mississippi authors that are all kind of stacked together. And what he did in this painting is, and this is a quote from him, he said, "Art takes many forms." And so he wanted to bring together the architecture, which is all gorgeous in itself, along with the literary history of the state, and he put it together in this gorgeous oil painting. And so I am so excited about this artwork. Y'all just don't even know. Um, but I did want to read with what they sent out to announce and to showcase the artwork. This is a quote from him. He said, "Much like books, architecture holds stories." And I so agree with that. I love it. "We live, work, and die inside these homes as the generations come and go. Architecture defines a region, its climate, its class structure, and its people. The stacks I create are totems to a culture, and these specific structures praise our incredible literary legacy. With each new writer, this tower can continue to grow." I thought that was just absolutely gorgeous.
I
Um,
love that.
I know, isn't that amazing? I really do have a soft spot for architecture. I love taking pictures of really cool buildings. I always have. And I also have a short story that I've been working on off and on for several years. Hopefully I'll get back to it one day, but architecture is kind of at the center of that, and that's all I'm going to say. But so this is really cool to me. So here's the thing that often creative mediums flow together so well that it just makes sense for this marriage to happen, right? Okay, and even though we shared a couple of weeks ago, like May said, we shared how we each chose our one creative medium, we found ways to incorporate others with our primary one of writing. And so that's what we'll talk about. But first, May's got some examples for us just all around outside of ourselves.
I do. So I was thinking about this topic, and there were a few things I wanted to think outside of what I'm doing as well, just how mediums kind of crash into each other, and how artists are using it as collaborative efforts to make their niche and that sort of thing. So have you guys been on the internet? Well, you can't answer, but I'm gonna. So I probably shouldn't form it as a question.
That's okay. They're talking along with us, or at least I hope they are. We're having a conversation.
Exactly, exactly. So there are whole like Reddit threads that are dedicated to food art. And my husband and I were looking at some the other day, and there was this artist who created cakes that look like other food. And one of them was like a salad, and one of them was like a hamburger. And I'm talking, guys, these looked exactly like hamburgers, exactly like salads, exactly like French fries, exactly like whatever the artist was trying to make. It looked exactly like that, and then they cut into it, and it's a cake. So there are other kind of cake art where they have paintings of these, well-known artists, or maybe not so well-known artists, or they just look like pieces of art. They look like sculptures. They look like sand castles. They look like all of these other things, and then it's edible. And so I just really think that is truly a mashup of mediums there, especially the ones that look like paintings, because it's like you're painting, but then you're also cooking, and hopefully it tastes good. We're assuming that it tastes good. So there's that. And then there are people who decorate instruments, or who create and make their own instruments and then play them. So you're mashing up the musical talents with the construction of the actual instrument or decorating it. Maggie Stiefvater, when she had her Shiver trilogy tours, she would Sharpie on top of a guitar. So there'd be like a regular plain brown wooden guitar, and she would take Sharpies and just do these amazing doodles. A lot of them were like Celtic inspired and that sort of thing. Just gorgeous stuff. And generally there's going to be a wolf in it, because the Shiver trilogy does have werewolves in it, but they're not like you think, and you should read the books. But
They're on my list.
but it was this beautiful piece of art that she would give away on her tours. She's musical, and she's also mashing that with her artistic ability to draw.
With her stories. So that's
with her
the
stories,
trifecta. She's amazing.
isn't it? And she does her own book trailers too, and those are generally some other form of art, whether it's color pencil or oil painting or charcoal, or just all kinds of stuff. And for Sinner, which is a spin-off of the Shiver trilogy, like it's like the fourth-ish book for the Shiver trilogy, she wrote a song for that one. So she incorporated some lyrical talent, as well as instrumental talent, as well as artist talents, as well as writing talents. Like, she's just a crazy, awesome person that I really enjoy. And she's funny. There are also people who make banjos out of other things too. So I've seen the cigar box banjos, but I've also seen where people have built their own boxes and then decorated them however they wanted to. And that right there is an art. And I thought that was really cool, how you could put those two things together, because after they make the banjo, they play it.
Very cool.
Yeah. So there is that. And then there are also these amazing multifaceted artists too, who can create canvases that have decoupage and photography and painting and drawing all like put together in order to make this piece of art. And that, if that's not a mishmash of mediums, then I don't know what is. So and then there are some that are a little more noticeable in the literary field. So you have a lot of children's book authors who are also the illustrators. There is a book coming out called Starkeeper, and Faith Prey is the artist and also the author for that book. And it looks so good. I love her drawings. I love her illustrations. She's amazing. And then my kids love Mo Willems' books, the pigeon books. And he writes them and he also illustrates them. And they also love Oliver Jeffers. And he is also an author illustrator. And just a fabulous, fabulous stuff going on there. And books that I like to read my kids, because they engage me as well. So And then you have on the older level, you have a lot of poets who seem to be looking into illustrating as well. So particularly one of my favorites is Rupi Kaur, and she is a poet who does pen and ink drawings along with some of her poetry in her collections. And just gorgeous work, just stuff that is really it emphasizes the theme of the poem, and it also is very imaginative and creative. So, a few things that other people are doing that I'm not doing right now.
You're doing some similar things.
I am doing some things. It's true. I am doing some things. Um, at the very beginning of this podcast, probably like one of the first episodes that we even put out in the world, we talked about how, yes, we are writers and that's our main creative outlet, but that we also had other creative outlets too. Maybe things that were more hobby ish, but also were things that we enjoyed and we wanted to incorporate into our lives. So, with that said, um, from episode 44, that's when Joy and I talked about finding your medium. And if you listen to that episode, you also know the different types of mediums that we've tried. And so you might hear some of those. They might sound familiar whenever I start talking about what I'm doing right now. So I fall into the category that, like, if one is good, then two must be better. And I feel that way about creative mediums too. And so, in that spirit, my fiction book that I'm working on is a fiction book, and it's also got song lyrics inside of it that will also have guitar chords inside of it too. So I guess that's three different mediums I'm pushing together, and the song lyrics and the music and the guitar chords probably do. I mean, they go together really well, but you wouldn't expect to see that inside of a book. So that might be a bit of a surprise. The idea came from the movie Begin Again. If you have not seen that, with Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley, it's fabulous. And I love the way that they tell a modern day breakup story, healing story, and they throw music in, and it becomes a part of the healing. And it's just wonderful. So I wanted to write a book that feels like that, and I wanted to tell the same story in two different ways, kind of in the way that they do in that movie, Begin Again. So I also truly love the mashups that Colleen Hoover does with some of her early books. So she has her first book that she ever wrote was called Slammed, and she has this beautiful prose, the story that's going on, and the male main character is also a slam poet. But probably one of my favorites. Slammed is my favorite, but my second favorite, oh, I don't know, they're kind of tied. Colleen Hoover's the best. So Colleen Hoover has a book. Well, she also has a book, Confess, where the male main character is an artist, and she actually hired an artist to make actual real artwork, and they took a picture of it, and that is incorporated in the book as well. But that's a really good book. But my top faves are Slammed, and this one right here is called Maybe Someday. Maybe Someday is so good. And there is a musician, and he's the one who's supposed to be coming up with the lyrics for this band. He doesn't actually sing in the band, but he is a lyricist for it, and he's stuck. So he's like out on his porch or on his balcony at the apartment, and he's playing his guitar, and he has this beautiful melody, but he does not have words to it. And there is another girl in her apartment on her balcony who is listening to that music as she is studying for college, and she has lyrics that come into her mind. And so she starts like singing along with it, and he can see her mouth moving, and he's like, is she writing lyrics? What is she saying? So,
it's like music and lyrics.
It is kind of like music and lyrics, which
Love
is one of
that.
my favorite movies.
I know, I love that movie.
I love that movie so hard. Yes. So maybe someday is another book. So between Begin Again, music and lyrics, and maybe someday, those are kind of the inspiration of how I wanted to like mash up these things. And none of them have actually had guitar chords inside of them, as far as like the written ones. But for maybe someday, she hired a musician to create an album that is on Spotify. You can find it there. She hired Griffin Peterson to collaborate with this book and make music um, to Colleen Hoover's lyrics. And I think they even might have collaborated a little bit on the lyrics as well.
Cool.
Yeah, isn't that cool? So there are people who are doing it out in the world, and I loved the experience of these movies and these books and these the ones that had like this mashup of mediums, and I just wanted to try my hand at it, and that's what we got here with all the words. So another way I mix mediums is with my poetry. So my poetry, I have this one set of poems has paintings with it. So I wanted to have a visual representation of the emotion in the poetry. So hopefully that is what I have done. I just love that extra bit of realness and genuineness that an author can bring whenever you have it in two different mediums. And then I also have photography that has poems on it. So in my previous series of poetry that I've written, which is currently in edits again, I I have photography where I've printed them out and actually written out the poems on the pictures in hopefully an artistic way, and it's a part of that digital image is a part of the poetry collection.
And it looks amazing, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, and we'll see. I hope everything. I don't know. Edits are hard. Let's just say that.
That's true, but worth it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So those are like three different ways that I am mashing mediums right now.
So exciting. So mine aren't quite as cool as Megan's. She does this so well. That's why I said she was going to talk most tonight. Also, I'm slightly losing my voice, which is why I've tried not to say anything. I also didn't want to cough on you guys, so there's that too. Just being real. So something that I'm able to do is to use my photography skills and knowledge of web design and Photoshop and graphic design experience and stuff like that. And I'm able to use a lot of that just in everyday business stuff. I mean, goodness, we're supposed to be posting on social media all the time, and you are supposed to have like great visuals to draw people in. And so I always constantly have these opportunities to kind of pull from some of those experiences and those things that I've done in the past to hopefully put out some fun stuff every now and then. So that's a lot of fun. And then I have had the opportunity to have some of my photography in both of my fiction covers. I work with an amazing designer, Rachel Ritchie, and she has been so encouraging in that. Now, my pictures aren't the greatest, but she takes what I send her and she mashes it all together in the coolest ways. And so both of my covers for Any Good Thing and This Good Thing contain some of my photography. So that just kind of makes it a little more special too. I feel like, I don't know, it's just neat to have that. And then I've also done the pairing photography with poetry in the past. And most of that has been, I've just sent it like to my newsletter subscribers. But I think there was one that I did put out on social media. I got a little braver with that one. But that's fun. It's fun to like pair an image with this little, lyrical piece that I've written. And that was a lot of fun to do. And then music. Music is another big part of my life, and I love music. And I did play around with writing some music to be used for a book trailer for Any Good Thing. Now, I never did anything with it, and part of that was I just ran out of time getting up to the launch for the book and everything, but I did actually play around with it a little, and I was kind of excited about it. But I will be working on my fantasy series, and music plays a huge role in that series. So I'm definitely going to be playing around with that some more. I've already written some lyrics to some songs that will be featured, not all in English either. I have my own language. So there's that, and they will need music. So that's definitely something that I'm going to be playing around with more once I dive into that. So pretty excited.
Yes, absolutely. And in my mind, whenever you were talking about the music and that you didn't have time for any good thing to put all that together, in my mind, I could see a Carolina's Legacy trailer that had your beautiful
Mm,
music in it that featured all 5 pieces. Wouldn't that be cool?
yes, definitely. And it's
So you could
definitely not too
still,
late. Yeah.
yeah.
Because even when you're past a book launch, and this is interesting because um, watching the Women in Publishing Summit, they had a video on book launches specifically. And I was watching that, and they were talking about, all these things you can do and everything. But, the point is, you want to have something to put out for people to see about your stuff at any point. So even if you don't get it made for the launch, hey, you're still going to be wanting to sell that book in 2 years, 5 years, whatever.
It's not the end. And for anybody else in another medium, maybe you think, oh, I had this art gallery showing and it's done and over with now. No, no, it's not. You've made these amazing pieces, and unless you already sold them, which is cool, that's way cool. But if you have any that are left, there are ways that you can even mash up those kind of mediums, the art that you have created, and also the art of marketing, because my goodness, isn't it a bit of an art, the way that you can kind of figure out ways to show people the how cool the stuff that you're making is, but also show it in a meaningful way that shares your story, and it might even be able to link you to some other people who have a similar story, and you find camaraderie and friendship and just community. That is a really, really cool thing to be able to do, and I do think that that's a bit of an art. Okay, guys, it is time for the QWERTY challenge. So I have to be honest with you. When Joy suggested this episode, I was like, that's a great idea. What should we talk about? And she literally had to tell me that my work, pretty much all of it, is mostly a media mashup. So you could be mixing mediums and not even like realize it. So our QWERTY challenge today is think about your creative projects. What creative parts of you are you infusing with them? And if you can't think of something specific, like a project that has multiple mediums, then what are you doing? Like, what are you good at? And even if they don't seem like they should fit together, try to think of ways that they could, because there are so many really awesome things out in the world that just don't make any sense. I'm just saying that, somebody had to put chicken and waffles together for the first time, and aren't we all glad that they did? So the world could be glad that you stepped outside of your box to make something new. So let us know what you come up with, and you can email us at editorial@logosandmythospress.com.
Awesome. You guys have an amazing week.
And, mix some things up. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening until the end.
Seriously, you're a trooper.
Do you think QWERTY Writing Life is the bomb?
May, you just said the bomb.
Don't you censor me.
If you think QWERTY Writing Life rocks ice for real,
Oh my word.
please rate, review, and share us with others.
If you have questions about this week's episode or want to start a conversation, you can reach us by visiting QWERTYWritingLife.podbean.com.
We'll be back next week with more candid chats for you.